Hello, everyone, and welcome back to my principal interview series. If you have been following this series, we have already completed three very important rounds. In round one, we covered the general principal interview, leadership, discipline, staff management, parent communication, and school vision. In round two, we went deeper into NEP 2020, CBSE compliance, SQAA, APAAR, CPD, and current educational expectations. And in round three, we moved to real life crisis situations, student safety, media pressure, difficult parents, teacher misconduct, staff conflict, inspections, and management pressure. Today, we are moving to another area that is extremely important for a principal, but is often overlooked during interview preparation: finance, admission, HR, teacher retention, and management expectations. Because let me tell you something very clearly, a principal today cannot say, I am not responsible for academics. No, a principal is responsible for the complete functioning of the school. You may have a director or finance manager, you may have an HR department, you may also have an admission counselor, but the principal needs to understand what is happening across the school, because ultimately you are responsible for outcomes. And today I am going to ask you questions that a management panel can actually ask. And I don't want you to give me textbook answers. I want you to think like someone who has to walk into school tomorrow morning and actually solve these problems. So let's begin. Question number 1: admissions have fallen by 25%. What will you do? This is one of the most common questions a principal can face. And please don't answer, I will increase marketing. That's not a principal's answer. My first question would be, where exactly is the problem? I would look at the complete admissions funnel. How many inquiries came in, how many parents visited, how many applications were received, how many admissions were actually closed, and how many existing students left the school, because these are different problems. Suppose I have 500 inquiries and only 30 admissions, then I don't necessarily have an inquiry problem. I may have a conversion problem. Maybe our counselors are not following up. Maybe parents aren't getting the right information. Maybe the school tour isn't impressive. Maybe the fee is not being explained properly. Maybe parents are comparing us with the competitors, or perhaps our academic reputation isn't strong enough. So I would first analyze the data. Then I would speak to the admission team. I would personally speak to some parents who didn't convert actually. And I want to know, why did you choose another school? What was different? That answer can be uncomfortable, but it can be extremely valuable. Then I would create a 30, 60, 90 days admission recovery plan, and I would track it weekly, because admissions cannot be managed by looking at a number at the end of the year. It has to be managed through a funnel, right? Now, question number 2: management says increase admissions immediately. You, now imagine the management tells you, we don't care how, we need more admissions. What will you do? My response would be, I absolutely agree that admissions are important, but before increasing expenditure, I want to understand the reason for the decline. I would review lead generation, conversion, follow up, parent experience, school reputation, academic results, fee structure, competitor positioning, transport, infrastructure, digital presence, and most importantly, retention. Because if I am bringing 100 new students through the front door and losing 80 existing students through the back door, I don't have an admissions problem. I have a retention problem. So I would tell management, let's not just fill seats. Let's understand why seats are becoming vacant and so fast. That is much more sustainable approach. Now, question number 3. Your school has good academics but poor parent perception. This is an interesting situation because sometimes the school is actually doing good work but parents don't feel it, and perception becomes reality in the market. And I would identify the gap. I would conduct structured parent feedback. Not, are you happy with the school? No, that's too broad. I would ask, how do you rate communication, academic support, teacher response, safety, transport, leadership accessibility, activities, fee value, complaint resolution. Then I would analyze the responses. If parents are saying the school is good but nobody communicates with us, then I don't have an academic problem. I have a communication problem. If parents say teachers are good but nobody listens when we complain or when we ask something, I have a service recovery problem. Then I would create measurable improvements and I would communicate those improvements, because parents perception doesn't improve through advertisements, right? It improves when parents experience better service consistently. Question number 4. Parents are demanding fee discounts. Now, this is where a principal has to balance empathy and financial discipline. I would not immediately say yes, and I would not immediately say no. First, I would understand the reason. Is it a routine negotiation? Is the parent comparing us with another school? Is the fee structure genuinely uncompetitive? I would follow the school's approved fee discount policy. If exceptions are permitted, there must be a documented process. What I would never allow is random discounting by different counselors, because then you create three problems: financial leakage, number one, number two, parent dissatisfaction, and loss of credibility. Imagine one parent discovers that the family received a much larger discount for the same program. You have created a trust problem here. So, my principle would be empathy for genuine need, consistency in policy, discipline in revenue management. Okay. Question number 5. Management asks you to cut expenses by 15%. What will you cut? This is a very good principal interview question. And please don't say, I will reduce staff. That's an easy answer. I would first conduct a cost analysis. I want to know payroll, overtime, utilities, transport, maintenance, procurement, stationery, events, food, technology, subscriptions, marketing, repairs, and other recurring costs. Then I would classify expenses into essential, important, optimizable, wasteful. I would never start by cutting something that directly affects the student safety or learning quality. For example, I may find that the school is ordering materials without proper inventory control, or maybe paying for services that aren't being fully used, or running transport routes inefficiently, or buying repeatedly because departments don't know what inventory already exists in the stores. Those are the system problem. I would fix those first. The objective isn't simply, ki spend less. The objective is spend intelligently. Question number 6. Your school fee are higher than competitors. How will you convince parents? I would not ask the admissions team to defend the fee. I would first ask what exactly are parents receiving for that fee, because parents don't buy a fee structure, they buy value. So we need to clearly demonstrate academic outcomes, teacher quality, safety, infrastructure, student support, sports activities, technology, counseling, exposure, communication, individual attention, and the overall student experience. If we cannot explain the value clearly, then perhaps the problem isn't the parent. Perhaps the school has not articulated its value proposition. A principal must understand this. Price is a number, value is an experience. Now, question number 7. Your best teachers are leaving. What will you do? Please don't immediately say we need to increase salaries. Maybe, but first I need to know why they are leaving. I would examine salary, workload, leadership behavior, recognition, growth opportunities, role clarity, work environment, timetable, parent pressure, appraisal system, management culture, and career progression. Right? I would conduct structured exit interviews, but I would not stop there. I would also conduct stay interviews. I would ask good teachers who are still with us, what makes you stay here and what could make you leave. That's very powerful information, because if your best teachers are leaving every year, you don't simply have a recruitment problem, you have an organizational culture problem. Now, question number 8. A teacher says the principal only notices my mistakes. What will you do? I would not become defensive. I would listen and I would ask, can you give me specific examples? Then I would look at the pattern. Are we only communicating when something goes wrong? Are the teachers receiving regular feedback? Are good practices being recognized? Is appraisal fair? I believe accountability and appreciation must exist together. A teacher should know, what am I doing well? What do I need to improve? What support will I receive? By when should I improve? That's much more effective than simply saying you are not performing. Right? Question number 9. How would you design a fair teacher appraisal system? My first principle would be appraisal should never be a surprise. Teacher should know the criteria before the year begins. I would look at multiple dimensions: classroom observations, lesson planning, student learning, assessment practices, professional behavior, attendance, and punctuality. Parent communication is very important. Participation in school responsibilities, professional development, contribution to school culture, and role specific KRAs. I would not judge a teacher only on board results, because a teacher working with a struggling class may achieve something remarkable that isn't visible through a single percentage. I would use evidence and I would have clear feedback conversations, not just an annual appraisal meeting. The objective should be improvement performance, develop people, recognize contribution, not simply decide increments, right? Question number 10. A teacher is underperforming but has been with the school for 15 years. This is where leadership becomes difficult. Experience deserves respect, no doubt, but experience does not mean immunity from accountability. I would first establish whether the problem is real, then observe, document, discuss, understand the reason, provide support, set measurable expectations, give a reasonable improvement period, review progress, and document each stage. Maybe the teacher needs technology training, maybe classroom management support, maybe workload adjustment, maybe there is a personal issue. But if the teacher continues to underperform despite reasonable support, then I would follow the school's HR policy and due process. I would never humiliate the teacher, never. I would never allow tenure to become an excuse for poor performance. Now respect people, maintain standards, both are possible. Question number 11. Management wants 100% board result. We touched on this in round 3, if you remember, but let's look at it from the performance management perspective. Yes, we will work towards the highest possible results, but let's build a system rather than chase a number. I would start early, analyze previous board results. I will identify subject wise gaps, identify students at risk, track attendance, track syllabus completion, monitor assessments, conduct remedial interventions when required, support teachers, involve parents where appropriate, and create a dashboard. My favorite. For example, how many students are currently below the expected level? How many have improved? Which subjects have the highest risk? Which teachers need support? Which students require intervention? Now, the principal is not saying, I hope the results improve. The principal is saying, here is the data, here is the gap, here is our intervention, and here is the expected outcome. That's management. Question number 12. The school has good admissions but is still losing money. This is a very fantastic question because admissions don't automatically mean profitability. I would immediately look at total revenue, fee collection percentage, outstanding fees, discounts, scholarships, refunds, payroll, transport, maintenance, utilities, food procurement, inventory, activities, marketing, and other major expenses. Then I would compare budget versus actual. I would look for the biggest variances. Maybe admissions are good, but fee collection is weak, poor. Maybe discounts are too high. Maybe transport is operating at a very low capacity. Maybe staffing is not aligned with enrollment. Maybe procurement is uncontrollable. Maybe there is leakage somewhere. You cannot fix a financial problem by guessing. You need numbers. And as a principal, I don't need to become an accountant. But I absolutely need to understand the school's financial dashboard. Question number 13. Management wants to increase fees, but parents are already unhappy. I, would simply not say we should increase fee. I would not simply say parents won't accept it. I would prepare the case. What is the current cost structure? What services are we providing? What are comparable schools charging? What is the legal and regulatory framework applicable to the school? So, what additional value are we providing? What is the parent's perception? Then I would advise management based on facts if a fee revision is appropriate and permissible. The communication must be transparent and planned. Parents need to understand what is changing, why is it changing, what value does it support, and the school must follow all applicable fee regulations and its approved processes. A principal's role isn't to simply communicate management's decision. It is also to advise management before the decision is made. That's an important distinction. Now, question number 14. The owner tells you, I don't want excuses, I want results. This happens. And I would not become defensive. I would say, I agree, I also want results. Let me put the numbers and action plan in front of you. Then I would present where are we today? What is the gap? What are the reasons? And can we control? What resources are required? What will I deliver in 30 days? What will I deliver in 30 days? 60 days? What will I deliver in 90 days? And what support do I need from management? That's a much better conversation than, sir, we are trying. Management doesn't need to hear we are trying. They need to see data, action, ownership, timeline, results. That's it. Question number 15. Can you run a school as both educational institution and a financially sustainable organization? This is perhaps the most important question in round 4. My answer would be absolutely, but the two cannot be treated as enemies. My school is first an educational institution. The child's learning, safety, well being, development cannot be compromised. But financial sustainability matters because without financial health, the school cannot maintain good teachers, infrastructure, technology, safety systems, or development. So I see the principal's role as balancing quality, people, compliance, parent trust, admissions, retention, financial sustainability, and school reputation. A financially healthy school can reinvest in education. A good academic school with poor financial discipline eventually struggles to sustain its quality. So, the principal needs to understand both, not become an accountant, not become a salesperson, but become a school leader who understands the entire ecosystem. Now we'll come to the bonus questions. The owner says you are responsible for results, but I won't give you more staff or more budget. What will you do? This is where I would pause, because my first response would not be, okay, I will manage. I would say, let's first identify what we can achieve with the existing resources and where the constraints are. Then I would prioritize what must happen, what can wait, what can be automated, what can be delegated, what can be stopped, and what can be redesigned, what can be outsourced. Where are we wasting time? Where are we wasting money? And then I would present management with choices. For example, option A, achieve this outcome with existing resources, but extend the timeline. Option B, achieve it faster with additional resources. Or option C, reduce the scope and achieve the highest priority objectives first. That's leadership. Don't just say, I need more people. Show management the problem, the options, the cost, the expected results. Now you are having a management conversation. Now, some rapid fire round. Let's do a quick rapid fire round. If the interviewer asks you these questions, don't panic. Think practically. Admissions or retention, which is more important? Both. But retention is the foundation of sustainable admissions. A satisfied parent becomes your strongest marketing channel. Number 2, what financial number would you look at first? I would want to see the complete picture, but I would immediately examine what? Revenue, fee collection, outstanding receivables, payroll, and major operating costs. Number 3, how do you measure teacher performance? Through multiple evidence points, not one number. Classroom practice, student learning, assessment, professional conduct, KRAs, development, and contribution. Now, number 4, what is the biggest avoidable expense in a school? That isn't one universal answer. I would look for wastage, poor procurement, inefficient staff, underutilized resources, uncontrollable discounts, and weak system. Number 5, how do you know whether school is financially healthy? I want to know, are fees being collected on time? Are expenses within budget? Is payroll sustainable? Are receivables under control? Are we investing appropriately? Or are we generating enough surplus to maintain and develop the school? And next is, what would you report to management every month? So I would have a concise monthly dashboard covering admission, fee collection, outstanding fees, student attendance, teacher attendance, staff turnover, academic performance, parent complaints, safety and compliance, and major expenses versus budget. But the most important part is what requires management's decision or support. Don't give management 50 pages of information. Give them the information they need to make decisions. So, the principal's monthly dashboard, if you are preparing for a principal interview, remember, if the panel asks what would you review every month, don't say academics and administration. Be specific. I would review at least 3 areas: admissions, admissions inquiries, visits, applications, admissions, conversion, then retention, withdrawals, reasons kya hai, parents' feedback, then finance collections, outstanding discount expenses, budget variance. The biggest lesson from round 4, let me leave you with one thought. A principal doesn't need to personally do the job of the accountant, HR manager, admission counselor, academic coordinator, transport manager, marketing manager, administrator, but the principal must understand how all these functions connect. Because if admissions fall, academics are affected. If teachers leave, parent satisfaction is affected. If fee collection falls, resources are affected. If parent complaints increase, reputation is affected. If compliance is weak, the entire institution is at risk. Everything is connected. That is why a principal must think in systems. So now we have completed round 4 of the principal interview series. Let's quickly recap. Round 1, general principal interview. Round 2, NEP 2020 CBSE and compliance. Round 3, crisis management and real life scenarios. And today, round 4, finance, admissions, HR, and management pressure. If you are preparing for a principal interview, don't memorize these answers word for word. That's not the purpose. Take the framework, understand the thinking, and then bring your own experience into your answer. Because the strongest candidate is not the person who gives the most impressive answers. It is the person who can sit across the table from the interview panel and make them feel this person can take responsibility for our school. If this video was useful, comment round 5, and in the next round, we are going to go into another area that can make or break a principal: teacher performance, difficult staff, HR decision, appraisal, accountability, and staff retention. That will be a very practical one. If you know a principal, vice principal, coordinator, or educator preparing for a leadership role, share this video with them. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow the series. Thank you for watching. Keep learning, keep leading, and keep building better schools. Take care.